After 20 years of war, USA is leaving Afghanistan. According to the US intelligence community, Afghanistan is going to fall into the hands of Taliban within 6 to 12 months of the US troops leaving the country. Now this is bad news because the last time Taliban came into power, things didn't fare out well for the people of Afghanistan. Sharia law was imposed, Bamiyan Buddhas were destroyed, there was a ban on music, movies and television, women weren't allowed to work, study and even step out of their houses without a burqa. And barbaric is the term used to describe how these laws were implemented. Anyone who violated the Sharia law was either lashed, stoned, amputated or executed. Therefore, the global community is really concerned about the people of Afghanistan after hearing the news that Taliban might once again come to power. Now, there are 4 scenarios likely to take place once the US leaves Afghanistan on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 this year. But before we get there, we need to know a bit about Taliban and its origins. In 1979, during Cold War, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan to support the communist government in the country. To fight the Soviets, all able men in the country took up arms. These were called the Mujahideens, or those engaged in jihad, whereas millions of women and children moved to Pakistan as refugees. In Pakistan, these children came under the influence of Deobandi school of Islam, which is a very conservative sect of Islam and different from the Islam popularly practiced in Afghanistan. Here's the thing, unlike popular opinion, Islam is not the same throughout the world. Islam is practiced differently in different parts of the world. For example, in Afghanistan, the Sufi sect of Islam is followed that puts emphasis on personal relationship with Allah and praying at the shrines of Sufi saints. Sufi Islam is a comparatively free, tolerant and mystical form of Islam. Therefore, an average Afghani thinks that he is the best Muslim in the world, even if he doesn't pray 5 times a day or reads the Quran. Deobandis, on the other hand, are inspired from the Wahhabi Islam in Saudi Arabia. Deobandis are very conservative and they do not believe in mysticism, Sufi saints and tolerating other faiths. According to them, the only way to heaven is by reading the Quran and following the Hadith. By 1990s, the Soviet Union collapsed, and in 1994, these children from the Deobandi madrasas, now all grown up, created Taliban with the help of ISI and US with the aim to overthrow Soviet-backed government in Kabul. And they succeeded in doing so, and you already know what happened after that. Now you might ask, if it was the US that helped create the Taliban, then why they have been fighting for so long? Once Taliban came into power, it gave shelter to Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, the terrorist organization responsible for the 9/11 attacks. Therefore, in 2001, after the Twin Tower attack, the US attacked Afghanistan, removed Taliban from Kabul, and in 2004 conducted presidential elections and established a new Afghan government. Since then, US has been fighting Taliban in Afghanistan and is yet to defeat it. Now let's talk about the 4 possible scenarios that might take place once the US troops leave Afghanistan. Scenario 1. Taliban weakens. In this scenario, after the US leaves, the Afghan government stays in power with the help of American funding, and Taliban gradually weakens. This is the best case scenario, but after seeing the situation on ground and how Taliban is gaining ground rapidly, this scenario seems less likely to take place. Scenario 2. Dual control. As Taliban gains power in the country, it could make a deal with the Afghan government, where some of the districts can come under the control of Taliban and rest can be controlled by the Afghan government. Or Taliban can negotiate to create a dual system like Iran, where regular elections take place and citizens have rights, but the ultimate power and control is with the Taliban-headed religious council. At this point, we don't know if the Taliban or the Afghan government are looking into this arrangement, but in case Taliban isn't able to take control over all of Afghanistan, it might try to negotiate a system like this. Scenario 3. A Taliban-headed government. For many of you, Taliban coming to power might be the worst case scenario. However, this is the second worst case scenario. Allow me to explain. If Taliban comes to power, we surely know that the rights of people, especially women and minorities, will decline. There is also a strong possibility that Taliban might once again start conducting terrorist activities in its neighborhood once the Americans leave. However, unlike the late 1990s, Afghanistan is much more globally integrated, and it requires foreign aid as well as businesses to improve the quality of life of its people. Therefore, in order to be recognized as a legitimate state, and more importantly, receive foreign aid, the Taliban must give certain rights to its citizens as well as disallow terrorist activities from its soil. Therefore, even though in the short run the quality of life in Afghanistan will go down, in the long run there is hope that international pressure can make Taliban act like a modern, responsible state. That is only if Taliban manage to stay in power. And that brings us to our fourth scenario. No one wins. In politics, whenever someone comes to power, there is always someone else to challenge that power. Today, Afghan government is challenged by the Taliban. Tomorrow, when Taliban comes to power, there will be someone else to challenge the Taliban as well. There are many local tribes and power brokers with conflicting interests in Afghanistan. And once the US leaves, they will surely try to compete with Afghanistan for power. Furthermore, many Afghans do not like Taliban either. They feel that Taliban and their ideology, Deobandi school of thought, is foreign. These local tribes and power brokers are sure to exploit the resentment of people towards Taliban to make political gains in the country. Therefore, if Taliban takes over Kabul, they will have to face resistance from local tribes. Some of them might even start a civil war against Taliban. And today, Taliban is not strong enough, both financially and militarily, to maintain a stable government or handle a civil war. Therefore, in a scenario in which no one has complete power in Afghanistan, the quality of life of Afghani people will not only go down due to conflict and violence, but all the chaos can lead to creation of a new monster like ISIS. And now we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold in Afghanistan. Thank you ladies and gentlemen for coming over to my vlog. I'll see you soon.